My name is Nick Harper. When people say they have it right, I smile and nod. Right means predictable. Morning, smoked meat, grocery list, hot water, and silence in the evening. I lived like this for several years and considered it the norm. I usually wake up at 4:45. I put the kettle on, check the fridge temperature on the app, and head to the food truck. It's on a lot in East Cesar Chavez, next to two coffee trucks and a burger stand. The sign says Harper Smoke. Ribs, brisket, turkey, sausage. On Friday and Saturday, pork ribs by pre-order. I don't like improvisation on the menu, but I like it when everything is on time. The air was cool for Austin that morning. I opened the smoker, pulled out the grates, checked the hickory logs, and threw in the brisket. I have a well-honed sequence. Trim, salt, pepper, mustard as a glue, then smoke. After 3 hours, flip, spray with apple cider vinegar. I do it almost mechanically, but I listen for the popping and hissing every time. If the sound is wrong, I adjust the fire. "Morning, Nick," called Mac, the guy from the coffee truck, setting paper cups on the counter. "You want the usual?" "Yes. Black. No sugar." He put the mug down. We exchanged a few phrases about city traffic jams and the inspection car. I went back to the meat, updated the temperature on the sensor, and wrote down the start time in my notebook. At 6:30, the supplier of buns arrived. I signed, moved the boxes inside, and put 2 batches in to cool. Emily was already getting ready for work. I got home around 8 for a quick shower and change. The house is in a quiet neighborhood near Lady Bird Lake. Cedar deck, spa deck upstairs. When we bought the house, she said, "The clients will love the view." I agreed, although my clients rarely look at decks. They care more about their meat not falling apart from dryness. "I'll leave early. We have a morning call with New York," Emily said, pulling her hair into a ponytail. "Are you out late tonight?" "We'll see," I replied. "There are a lot of pre-orders today." "Okay, I might be late. The guys are trying to squeeze the presentation into next week." She spoke quickly, stuffing her bag with a laptop, cords, a notepad. On the kitchen table was her calendar, a grid of appointments, arrows, sticky notes. On my phone, a list of temperatures and timers. We are different, but I never considered that a problem. "Should I pack you lunch?" I asked. "No need, we'll go with the team. Thank you." She kissed me on the cheek and left. I finished my oatmeal, looked out the window at the terrace, and noted out of habit. The jacuzzi lid was closed. A filter check notification popped up on my phone. I put it aside. By lunchtime, the flow of customers was thick. 2 engineers from the office next door each ordered brisket sandwiches. A young couple asked for something mild. An older man in a Longhorns cap complimented the crust on his ribs. I stood at the window, placing orders, wiping grease off the counter, and settling into a familiar rhythm. At hours like this, I don't think. I do. Around 3, the spice supplier showed up. We discussed the price of black pepper and the potential delay for the weekend. I wrote down the new price and made a mental note to check the remaining salt on Friday. By 4, the meat was almost gone. I wrote "sold out" on the board next to the brisket and saved the turkey and sausage for later arrivals. By 6, I was cleaning the grates and tightening the straps on the trailer. The house greeted me with silence. I went up to the roof. The water in the jacuzzi was making noise as usual. I took off the lid, turned on the light, and sat down on the edge. There were sunglasses on the railing. Black frames, gold temples. Some new ones. I picked them up and looked at the label on the inside. Ray-Ban. I don't wear those. Emily doesn't either. Her glasses are always larger and usually plastic. I remembered this and put it on the table. In the kitchen, I found 3 cans of craft beer in the trash can. Not my brand. I drink something else simpler and cheaper. Maybe they were left over from guests. Lately, guests were rare. I shrugged, took out the trash bag, and carried it outside. "Good evening, Nick," Mrs. Caldwell called to me from her yard. "How's business?" "Not bad, thank you. I expect an influx from Friday." "You smell like smoke. That's a good sign," she said, smiling. If you need it, I have an accountant in touch who knows how to work with food trucks. If not now, then by tax season. Thank you, it might come in handy. She returned to her beds. I stood for another minute, looking at the red sunset over the rooftops, and went home. On the way, my phone beeped. Spa lid opened and closed 3 times: 12:04, 12:11, 12:18. I frowned. No one was home at that time. I opened the event log. Such messages had come before, but I didn't pay attention. I wrote them off to service checks of the pump. In the evening, already in the bedroom, I scrolled through the history for the last 2 weeks and saw similar chains. I saved the screenshots and put the phone on the nightstand. "How's your day?" Emily asked, coming in around 9. "I'm dog-tired. 3 meetings in a row, one on top of the other." "It's fine. The meat sold out quickly." "Good to hear. I'm just drained today." She kicked off her shoes and glanced at the glasses on the table by the door. "Are these yours?" "I found them on the terrace," I said. "They're not mine." "It's strange," she shrugged. "Probably left by one of the guests last weekend." "We didn't have any guests last weekend. So, earlier, I don't remember. Today, I remember very little at all." She went into the bathroom. I stood in the hallway and looked at the glasses. We had a simple dinner. I heated up the leftovers of turkey and made a salad. Emily said she didn't want to eat. She drank some tea, scrolled through her phone feed, and went to bed. The next day, I raised the saddle on the Peloton. It was higher than usual. I know my height from the mark on the stand. The mark was 2 notches low. I made a mental note of it again. There was another notification on my phone about the hot tub cover that afternoon. I noted the time. At lunchtime, a regular customer, Tom from the real estate office, approached me. "Nick, when are you going to install an oven? The city is currently obsessed with Neapolitan pizza. I would eat yours every day. First, I'll sort out the supplies and the schedule, and then we'll see. Make pizza with brisket," he smiled. "You'll kill the market." I chuckled. We talked for another minute about the RV park at the Zilker Festival. He left, and I found myself thinking that sometimes you want something new. Not because you have to, but because you can. I came home that evening and found an envelope from the bank in my mailbox. Inside was a flyer advertising home improvement loans. A regular mailing. I put it on the counter and went upstairs to check the spa filter. The water was clean. There was a towel on the edge that I hadn't put there. I folded it and took it downstairs. "Listen," I said when Emily returned. "I get weird notifications about the spa lid popping up in my app sometimes. Have you noticed anything?" "Me? No. I was just there last weekend." She pushed her hair back and looked at her phone. "You know, I practically live in the office now. It's clear." She didn't ask why I was interested. I didn't pursue the topic further. We talked about her pitch to a client in Dallas and how my RV hood was noisy at high speeds. Then she went into the bedroom to finish a few emails. I sat in the kitchen and flipped through the smart home log for the past month. The system was honestly showing the times the doors and roof flap were opened. I took the overall statistics, downloaded them to my laptop, and put them in the house logs folder. Not because I wanted to dig through other people's steps, because it's my house, and I live there. On the third day, I rolled the van out to the school fair. It was a busy morning. Parents, kids, vendors selling baked goods, a honey stand. A woman came up to me, introduced herself as Carrie from the local TA, and asked about sponsoring the school fair. I gave them a discount, and they promised to put our logo on a poster. I like that kind of thing. Clear benefit, clear money, no fuss. "Are you doing all the pulling yourself?" she asked, looking at the next portion of brisket. "Almost by myself. Sometimes the assistant comes out for Saturday shifts. The rest is mine." "Great respect," she said, and took 2 sandwiches. I worked until 3, got ready, and went home. In the kitchen, in the trash, there were more cans of craft beer. The same ones as the first time. I picked one up, read the label, and put it back. A notification flashed on my phone. Spa lid open 12:22. I checked my watch. I was definitely at the fair at that time. Emily was supposed to be in the office. In the evening, I asked, "Were you home today during the day?" "No," she replied, not looking up from her laptop. "We had a call with Los Angeles." "Why do you ask?" "The application says that the roof lid was opened. Maybe a service check. You said so yourself." "Maybe." She looked back at the screen. I turned off the notifications on sound, but left them on for the log. I went to bed late that night. Before going to sleep, I went up to the roof. The city was noisy as usual. I closed the lid of the spa, checked the lock on the gate, and went downstairs. On the table by the door were the same Ray-Bans. I put them in the drawer, just in case. On Thursday, I got up earlier than usual. I barely slept that night. I was either thinking about the glasses on the terrace or scrolling through notifications about the spa lid. By 4:45, I was already standing at the van. The fire was burning quickly, the thermometer was steady. I caught my usual rhythm and calmed down for a while. "Black, no sugar," Max said, handing me the glass. "You look like the neighbor's kids have been setting off firecrackers all night." "I just didn't sleep," I replied. "Work." "Well, yes. We have work too. Yesterday the filter in the car got clogged. We had to spin around half the night." He grinned. "Hang in there." At 7, my regular meat supplier, James, arrived. We talked for 15 minutes about prices and deadlines. He asked if I needed another refrigerator. I wrote down the number of the equipment and said I would think about it. By 9, the line had already formed tightly. Two guys in Austin sweatshirts, a woman in a bright windbreaker, a teenager with a bicycle. I worked as usual: serve, add sauce, smile, take payment. At such hours, the head does not think about home. But as soon as the flow subsides, thoughts return. Emily called around 11. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Fine. The meet is going well. How are you?" "A mess. We're postponing the presentation. The client doesn't like the title." "Well, it happens." "Is dinner at home today?" "I don't know. Maybe we'll go with the team to the South Congress Cafe." "Do you mind?" "I don't mind," I said. "Call me if anything happens." "Okay." We hung up. The conversation was casual but empty. I found myself listening to the pauses, not the words. By 3 o'clock, everything was taken apart. I returned home at 5 o'clock, kicked off my boots at the entrance, and smelled men's cologne. Not sharp, but sporty. I froze, checked if it was my jacket that was smelling, sniffed my sleeve. No. I looked at the shelf by the door. There was a new shower gel marked with a cooling effect. I don't buy that. Neither does Emily. I took the bottle, turned it over. No receipts nearby. I put it back. On Peloton, there was a featured workouts tab with a studio in the center. In the photo was a trainer with a pearly white smile. I remembered a party at Emily's agency 2 months ago. There was a guy from the studio there, Jason Lane. Everyone was taking pictures with him. I was standing there with a plate of canapés and joking about how his name sounded like a startup. He laughed and shook my hand. The name stuck. That night, Emily texted, "Having dinner with the team. Late home." I texted her back, "Okay," and walked to H-E-B to get some flour and tomatoes, thinking I'd practice making pizza dough over the weekend. I also picked up some fresh basil in a pot. As I was walking back, I saw a silver Tesla on our street. It was parked across the street, lights off. It didn't seem out of the ordinary. Half the block had cars like that. But this one seemed foreign. I walked past, opened the gate, and heard a soft sound behind me, like a car pulling out of a parking lot. I turned around. The Tesla slowly drove toward the intersection and turned. At home, I put the flour in the cupboard, turned on the light on the terrace, and checked the lid of the spa. It was closed. On the phone, there were two daytime notifications, 12:07 and 12:13. I took screenshots. I went downstairs, got the cans from the trash can again, the same brand. I put one on the side shelf. I don't know why. Emily came at 10, tired, silent. She took off her coat and walked past me to the bathroom. "How did it go?" I asked. "It's fine. The client liked the new idea. It still needs some finishing. You smell like new shampoo. Yeah, someone left samples in our office, she answered quickly. You know PR. She smiled and left. I went back to my laptop and looked at the general spending chart for the last few days. The usual expenses, gas, groceries, coffee shops. Among them was Lane Wellness Studio for $49. I opened the details. A trial subscription for a month. The chart was general. I sighed. The notes section was empty. I closed the laptop. On Friday morning, I suggested, let's go to the lake for a couple of hours on Saturday. I'll finish my shift, and we can take a boat. You've wanted to for a long time. We can't do it this Saturday, Emily said, pouring coffee. It's Marlowe's birthday at the agency. I need to come by for at least an hour. I'll say a few words to the boss. He's counting on it. Then let's do it on Sunday. I'll look at the schedule. I nodded. At times like these, I usually switch to the mundane. Shopping list, filter change, call the supplier. It helps to avoid getting stuck in an argument. I took out the trash, secured the bag, and heard Mrs. Caldwell's voice outside. Nick, good morning. Please turn off your street light by midday. It blinds the birds. Sure, I said. I'll try to set a timer. I saw your car here yesterday. Silver. Beautiful, she smiled. Is someone new coming to you? I don't know, I answered. Maybe to the neighbors. Maybe. Take care of yourself, she said and went to the mailbox. I went back into the house, opened the smart home app, and set the timer for the light. The screen showed statistics on the front door lock. There were 2 openings during the day, from 12 o'clock to 13 o'clock. I was at the point at that time. Emily was supposedly in the office. I took screenshots again. By lunchtime, the site was hot. Tanner, a guy who sometimes helps out on the weekends, arrived. Boss, I'm free on Saturday from 3. If necessary, I'll take over. I'd like 5 hours. It will come in handy, I said. Let's do it from 3 to 8. Great. By the way, I saw an ad for a new studio on South Lamar, the one with the exercise bikes and loud music. There's a fitness instructor there. Everyone's talking about him. Like a city star. I heard, I replied. Good luck to him. They also serve pizza after evening classes. A collaboration with some food truck. Tanner chuckled. Every second person here is a collaboration now. Listen, I made a note. South Lamar Bike Studio Pizza late night. Not because I'm jealous of someone else's idea. I'm just curious how people combine service and noise. I don't like noise. In the evening, I tried to talk to Emily again. Lately, our schedules have been somehow. I searched for words too different. We hardly ever cross paths. It's called work, Nick, she said. I'm in season, and you're in season. It'll pass. I'm not talking about being busy, I said. I'm talking about us, about coming home and seeing things I don't understand. Beer in the trash, glasses on the patio, the spa lid open during the day. Let's at least check the settings so there aren't any false alarms. Emily tensed. Do you really think I'm hiding something? She asked quietly. I don't count anything. I want to understand. The guys could have left the beer when they came to help with the furniture. The glasses, I don't even know whose. The lid service, you said it yourself. We live, and we don't keep track of every step. I keep records in the van, I said calmly, and that keeps me afloat. At home, I don't want records, but I want order. Nick, I'm tired. If you want control, install another camera. Just don't turn the house into a warehouse with sensors. She stood up, picked up her phone, and went into the bedroom. The door didn't slam, it just closed. I sat in the kitchen and stared at the empty table for about 5 minutes. Then I turned on the stove, warmed up the remaining turkey, ate in silence, and washed the dishes. On Saturday, I worked until 3 and handed over to Tanner. I stopped at Brody Lane to get flour for the dough and at the Barton Creek Farmers Market to get tomatoes and cheese. At the cheese stand, I ran into my school friend Ben. Nick, are you alive? He laughed. I thought you were a local TV star by now. I'm far from the stars. I replied. How are you? It's fine. The kids have an algebra tutor. The wife does pilates. You know, it's a common story. Listen, we get together at my pool on Saturdays, roast corn, the kids run around. Come over sometime. Invite Emily too. Thank you. Write the address. I did. And yes, if you suddenly decide to expand, I have a friend who is a lawyer for food truck contracts. He doesn't charge a fortune. Write down the contact, it will come in handy. We exchanged numbers, talked for a few more minutes, and went our separate ways. A normal, calm conversation. I caught myself not wanting to go home. It was a new feeling. By evening, Emily sent a photo from the birthday party. The table, the balloons, the people from their agency. She was wearing a dark dress, smiling. The caption read, "Marlo, you're the best." I liked it. Later, around 10, she wrote, "I'll be there by 11." At 11:20, I heard the door. She walked in, kicked off her shoes, and sat down on the couch. "Is everything okay?" I asked. "Yes." She just got up. "Did they give you a lift?" "Yes," she said. "The girls from the office." I nodded. A few minutes later, a notification popped up on my phone. Front door open 23:22. At the same time, two daytime events about the spa lid popped up. I pinched the screen with my finger and closed the notifications. On Sunday morning, I made pizza dough. I floured the counter, kneaded it, divided it into balls, and put it in the fridge. I planted basil on the terrace. It kept my hands busy and my mind organized. Emily came into the kitchen at noon. "It smells delicious," she said. "Pizza tonight?" I suggested. "I need to get ready for Monday in the evening. So we'll have dinner in town on Monday." I tried to seize the moment. "Let's see. I don't promise." We drank our coffee in silence. She scrolled through her phone. I looked at the van's schedule for the following week. Another small charge appeared on the calendar for Lane Wellness Studio, $18 this time. A subscription to a single class. I closed the screen. After lunch, I went to Ben's for an hour. The kids were chatting in his yard. The women were laughing. The men were arguing about baseball. We ate corn, talked about school and insurance. No special topics. Someone brought up the age. 40 already, time to think about health. I nodded and said nothing. As I was leaving, Ben clapped me on the shoulder. "Come again, and bring Emily. Don't lock yourself in the house." "We'll try." On the way, I stopped on South Lamar. I wanted to check out the studio I'd talked to Tanner about. The sign was bright, the doors were glass, it was dark and loud inside, the music was blaring into the parking lot. There was a pizza truck parked nearby. On the side, keto base, sugar-free sauce. I watched a guy in an apron handing out boxes after an evening class. People in workout gear were laughing, taking pictures against a wall with a logo. A tall guy in a fitted tank top was talking on the porch. I didn't approach. I drove Tony. Emily and I barely spoke that evening. I made myself a simple tomato and basil pizza. She said she wasn't hungry. She went to bed at 11. I sat down at the table, opened my laptop, and suddenly realized I couldn't go on like this. Guesses were a dead end. I needed facts. I didn't want to catch anyone out. I wanted to know where I stood. I found Ellie Brooks's number in my contacts. We hadn't spoken in a while, not since she'd left the police force to pursue private investigations. I texted briefly, "Ellie, hi. Can you meet up this week? Personal matter." A few minutes later, she responded, "Hi, Nick. Sure. Tuesday, 1 p.m., Torchy's on Curtison." "It fits," I wrote. Tuesday, 1 p.m., Torchy's Tacos on Curtison. I grabbed a table against the wall, ordered 2 trailer park tacos and an unsweetened iced tea. Ellie arrived promptly, wearing dark jeans, a light shirt, her hair pulled back, her gaze focused. "Hello, Nick," she said, taking off her jacket. "Tell me briefly what's up with you." I listed glasses on the terrace, cans of beer, raised saddle on the Peloton, daytime opening of the spa lid, new shower gel, the smell of cologne. I mentioned the Tesla near the house and the Lane Wellness Studio subscription on the general map. No conclusions. "Okay," She nodded. First, this isn't a show for you, but documents. Record everything you see and touch in your home. Photos, screenshots, time. Don't touch her personal devices. Don't get into accounts you don't have access to. Only shared accounts, your devices, and what's in your home. Understood. Second, chronology. Make a table, date, time, event, source. Spa cover, door lock, movement at the stairs, write off by card. Sync the clocks on all devices. Okay. Third, cameras. Do you have an external one? There is one at the entrance. I didn't take it out onto the roof. Buy a small camera for the stairs to the terrace. Another one in the hallway, so you can see who's going up and down. Notification silent so as not to upset anyone. Store the video in the cloud and on a map. I will do it. Fourth, the lock. If the smart lock allows you to set codes, set a new main one and a separate guest one. Don't turn off the old one yet. The log will show which code was entered. The castle has such a function. Great. Fifth, money. Photos from a shared card, bank statements, Venmo, PayPal, everything where there are joint expenses. Notes, who paid, where, when. No comments, just the facts. I'll start today. Sixth, witnesses. If there are repeated daytime visits, warn the neighbor on the right. Nothing extra, just ask if she saw someone else's car near your house during the day. Mrs. Caldwell, right? True, but I don't want to make a fuss yet. Don't make noise. Just ask in general terms, and write down the date. The waiter brought the food. We each took 2 bites. Ellie continued. The most important thing is to stay calm. No scenes, no threats. If you see something on the cameras, save it, make a backup copy, don't show it to anyone except me, and, if necessary, a lawyer. Texas has its own rules for recording, but you're filming in your own home and on your own stairs. We don't put cameras in the bedroom or bathroom. We understand the boundaries. Yes. And one more thing. Don't track her via GPS if it's her personal phone. No need to risk it. Smart home magazines and money will be enough for you. Accepted. We ate. I paid. Send me a link to the shared folder, Ellie said. It doesn't have to be encrypted, but give access only to me. Send me a short summary once a day in the evening. 1 paragraph, no emotion. I will do it. And here's another thing, she looked at the notebook. You often come to the site for lunch. Daytime events come at this time. So there is a pattern. Check the next 3 days. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm in touch. We shook hands. I went on some business. First, an electronics store. I took 2 compact cameras with local and cloud recording, memory cards, mounts, and extension cord. Then some household stuff, a cable channel to hide the wire in the corner of the stairs, and at the same time, a new filter for the smokehouse, so I wouldn't have to come back just for that tomorrow. At home, I started with the lock. I set a new code for myself, another one as a guest. I left the old one active. In the app, I turned on the code log. I installed cameras. One looks at the staircase to the terrace, the second one at the passage from the kitchen to the back door. I checked the corners so that they do not capture the private area. I set up notifications only for motion and only during the day from 11:30 to 14 o'clock. Test recordings went to the cloud. I took screenshots of the settings. Then I sat down at my laptop. I created a table, date, time, event, source, comment. I moved all the previous notifications about the spa lid and the front door there. I added a note about glasses, beer cans, shower gel. I uploaded the photos. In the evening statements, I saw a couple of cafes where we had been together for a long time and a separate item, Lane Wellness. I marked it in green. I added my work schedule as a separate tab, when I am definitely not at home. At 7, the spice supplier called. We discussed the delivery. I returned to the table. I sent Ellie a letter, a link to the folder, a list of devices, copies of the logs. In response, I received a short, received. Emily arrived at 8. Hi, she said. What are you doing? Updating smart home settings. Installed a new camera in the hallway. We had false notifications on the spa cover. I want to figure it out. A camera in the house? She raised her eyebrows. In the hallway and on the stairs. No personal areas. It's a security issue. We have doors that open during the day. Okay, you're home, your sensors, she said dryly and went to the shower. I didn't answer. At 9 we had tea. She asked if I minded if she came back later from the office the next day. I said I'd be gone from 6 until 4. She nodded. Wednesday started as usual. At 6 the smokehouse was running smoothly. By 9 there was a line. By 3 it was almost empty. At 12:06 the first notification came, movement stairs to terrace. I was standing by the van window, wiping down the counter. My phone vibrated a second time. Spa lid opened 12:07. I opened the camera feed. The picture was clear. Legs in sneakers entered the frame, then a silhouette in a baseball cap. The face was missing. The camera was looking just above the steps. A minute later, the second camera recorded movement in the hallway to the back door. The lock report showed the old code entered. At 12:28, the lid closed. At 12:30, the exit. I saved the videos locally and in the cloud, made a backup copy on a flash drive, added 4 rows with the exact time to the table. Sent Ellie a short summary. The answer came 5 minutes later. Great. Let's continue calmly. Tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, the same thing. Don't change the codes until Friday. And try to discreetly ask Emily about tomorrow's schedule in the evening. No pressure. That evening, Emily said they had a calling schedule and a small briefing with a client on Thursday. I nodded. There were 2 empty cans of that same beer in the trash. I took a picture without touching them. Thursday at 12:11, same notifications. Old code, movement on the stairs, open lid. The recording shows the same baseball cap, the same gate. A car got through the window of the stairs for a second in the parking lot. Light-colored body. The number is illegible, but the Tesla model can be read from the shape of the handles. I saved and marked again. By evening, another line on the card was added to the table. Lane Wellness Studio $18. I did not comment. On Friday at 12:19, the movement repeated itself. But this time they stayed on the stairs for a couple of seconds longer, and the camera took a fragment of the face. It was enough for me to understand. This is Jason Lane from the agency Holiday. The same white teeth, the same way of holding the chin. I froze for a second, then clicked download and put the file in a separate papku with date. Made a backup. I called Ellie. I got it, she said, not waiting for my hello. That's enough to record the fact of visiting a third party without the owner's permission. From here on, be careful. We don't do anything on weekends. Meet me on Monday morning and we'll discuss the next step. And Nick, she paused, you're holding up. Keep it up. Just keep it up until Monday. I hung up, closed my laptop, and went to wash the grates on the van. No one would do the job for me. Saturday started off quietly. Tanner had picked up the second half of his shift, so I had the afternoon off. I stopped by the bank on South Contras, where Emily and I have a joint account and credit card. I wanted to get printouts for the last 3 months and ask about the strange charges. Good afternoon, I'm Nick Harper, I said to the manager at the counter. I need statements for the joint card and account activity, and another question about possible home loan applications, in my name and my wife's. The manager introduced himself as John, asked for the license, and checked the account. We'll print the statements on the spot, he said. I can only check the availability and status of the applications. We don't give details over the phone, but if you both come, we can discuss it. Please check for availability, I said. John tapped on the keyboard. There was a preliminary request for a home improvement loan, he said. A week ago, online. The status was waiting for documents. The contractor field said Lane Wellness Ventures. Sound familiar? Yes, I replied. The contractor has not been approved. Please mark the site as personal identification of both owners required and freeze processing until we both arrive. I'll make a request for a mark, John nodded. The final decision is up to the risk department. They usually block until a personal visit. And please print out the statement's credit card and checking account. While he was typing, I checked my phone. There were no notifications at home day off. I took the paper pack, thanked John, and went to the coffee shop nearby. I took a table by the window, took out my laptop, opened the spreadsheet. First, I went through the credit card. Restaurants, Uchai, Odd Duck, South Congress Cafe. The days coincided with Emily's long evenings. On Venmo, there were 3 transfers to Lane Wellness with comments like class and session. The amounts were small, but regular. I took screenshots, added them to the finance folder, and entered them into a table: date, amount, purpose. Next to them was a column for Emily's message that day and smart home notifications. The matches lined up without my comments. Then I opened a checking account. 2 charges to Venture Fitness Supplies. I went to the website. It's an equipment store. In the purpose column, the bank says deposit. I noted that too. Called Ellie. Brief. Bank approved a preliminary application for home improvement, contractor Lane Wellness Ventures. I asked for the block marked both owners, I said. I got the statements. Venmo and restaurant bills matched the day the house was opened. Great, Ellie replied. Add a screenshot of the request to the summary, as far as you have one, and write down the date, time, and manager's name. On Monday, I'll compile it into a chronology. Today and tomorrow, no steps to Emily, just collecting. Understood. I got home, put the printouts on the table, and started putting together a folder called Finances. Dividers, credit card, check, Venmo, subscriptions, loan application. I wrote the date on the cover. I put it in a drawer. Mrs. Caldwell dropped in during the day with a bunch of herbs for the kitchen. Our rosemary is growing like crazy this year, she said. Take it. Thank you. And I have a question, if I may, I answered. A theoretical one. If a person regularly enters a house without the owner's permission, but through a coded door, and this is recorded by cameras and the locks log, is that enough to prohibit approaching? Theoretically, yes, if the owner didn't give permission and can show the recording, she said. But before you get all worked up, it's better to gather a week or 2 of chronology. Judges like order, and no amateurism, no traps, calm steps, paper after paper. That's exactly what I'm doing. Good. And one more thing. If it comes to property, don't argue with your voice. Everything in writing. It saves your nerves. Received. We stood on the porch, talked for a minute about the heat and the electric bills. She left. I put the rosemary in water. In the evening, I invited Emily to have dinner together. I can't today, she said. Tomorrow will be tough too, getting ready for Monday. Then let's do it on Monday after work, I said. We'll just have dinner and discuss household matters. We'll see, she replied. No scenes. I went back to my plan. Sunday morning, I opened Venmo and found the Lane Wellness profile. I confirmed that it was linked to the same studio number as the statements. I took a screenshot of the profile page, and the icon matched the logo of the studio on South Lamar. I added the link to the spreadsheet and the note, public information. After lunch, I went to the building materials warehouse to buy fire bricks. I had been thinking about converting the corner of the terrace into a stove for a long time. I took samples, talked to the consultant about the dimensions and ventilation. This was not an attempt to occupy my head, just a practical thing. In the evening, I rolled out the dough, baked another test pizza, and handed out a piece to the neighbor's children over the fence. Emily ate a small slice and said, "Delicious." That was the end of the conversation. On Monday morning, before the van opened, I met Ellie at a small diner on Riverside. We laid out the folders on the table. Here's the house timeline, I said. Monday, Friday, daytime visits, codes, videos. Here's the finances, card, Venmo, restaurants, bank application. Ellie looked through it and made notes. Here's the plan, she said. First, we maintain the current regime until Wednesday inclusive to get the pattern. Second, today you go to the bank and write a statement together with the manager to block the application for home improvement until both of you are present in person. They've already made a note, but we'll duplicate it in writing. Third, I'm preparing a short conclusion with a chronology. On Thursday, at a convenient time, you set the boundaries. No shouting, no hints of a fight. If he shows up, you record him and calmly inform him that this is private property and that there will be a restraining order. If he doesn't show up, you talk to Emily at the table, just the facts. I'm here if needed. Understood. And one more thing, she looked at me carefully. You don't have to justify yourself. You are the master of the house. Just name specific things and decisions. No offensive words. No morals. Just facts and consequences. Agree. After the meeting, I stopped by the bank. Found John. I would like to confirm in writing that I have blocked that application, I said. We sat down at his desk. John printed out a processing freeze form with a clause about both owners must be present in person. I signed it. He put the incoming number. It's done, he said. I'll send it to the risk department right now. Thank you. During the day, at the point, I caught myself breathing calmly. When you know what you're doing, it's easier to hold the line. On Tuesday night, I locked up the van early and pulled into a pool shop on South Lamar. The air conditioning was blowing out and it smelled of chlorine and plastic. Behind the counter stood a guy in a blue shirt with the name Red. "What are you looking for?" he asked. "A leak test marker and water dye that washes out with filters," I replied. "Nothing aggressive." "There is food coloring for circulation tests. Safe, will go away in a couple of cycles. Blue and green." "Green," I said, "and a set of test strips." He placed the bottle and the pack of strips on the counter. "Pour a little better through the nozzles. If you turn on the jets, the effect will be brighter." Understood. I paid and went home. I laid out the receipt in the kitchen, took a photo, and put the bottle in the drawer next to the test strips. I sat down at the laptop and updated the table. Purchase dye for circulatory diagnostics. Opposite, I wrote, safe. I was not going to damage the property. I needed to remind myself the house is not empty. On Wednesday afternoon, notifications were coming in according to the usual schedule. Emily returned late in the evening and said that the off-site had gone off without a hitch. I nodded silently. On the terrace, I checked the filter and set the nozzle timer for 12:05 the next day. I closed the lid tightly. Thursday morning, I worked the first wave and was busy accepting a delivery of buns. Tanner texted, "I can switch at 4. I texted back, "Okay." At 12:06, my phone flashed. Movement stairs to terrace. Then, spa lid open. I opened the camera feed and waited a second. The system showed that same baseball cap flashing on the steps. A minute later, the shadow of a second person. The recording with the sensor at the stairs worked perfectly. According to the schedule, the nozzles turned on at 12:07. The water on the screen quickly turned bright green. The wave went in a circle. The backlight intensified the effect. At 12:10, the second stream showed a bustle on the roof. Towels being pulled, someone leaning over the control panel. A silver Tesla near the curb was caught on camera through the glass. At 12:12, the nozzles turned off, the lid closed, but the water remained green. At 12:14, the ladder again flashed with movement down. The lock log recorded the exit with the old code. At 3, I returned home for a short while, under the guise of replenishing supplies. The neighbor across the street, Mrs. Powell, was standing at her mailbox. "Nick, are you having a party there?" She nodded toward the roof. I saw a green light in broad daylight. I thought it was St. Patrick's Day. "Circulation test," I said calmly. "The filter was glitching. I'm checking." "Well then, okay." It looked fun. I went up, took a picture of the water through the slightly open lid, took readings from the filter on the panel. Then I went down, saved the recording from the cameras to a flash drive and to the cloud. At home, I covered the kitchen table with documents. On the left is finances, credit card, check, Venmo, subscriptions, bank statement with application blocked. On the right is access, lock logs with codes, lid notifications, video links. The third folder is steps, a reminder for the conversation, a completed draft of a restraining order for a third party, a list of household items and bills. I numbered each page. At the end of the table, I placed an empty signatures folder. Emily returned around 8. "We need to talk," I said. "Now?" "I just came from the road." "Now?" She sat down silently. I opened the first folder. Here are the expenses. Here are the total expenses for Lane Wellness Studio, restaurants, and translations. The dates coincide with the daily events at home. I am not commenting on anything. I am just showing. Emily ran her fingers over the pages, her lips pursed. "Next," I said, opening the second folder. The castle log. Here and here is a video of a man climbing into the house without the owner's permission. Video, she looked up. In the hallway and on the stairs. Common areas. The cameras are legal. Yesterday, there was a test of the roof nozzles. That's why the water was green. It was a test. We won't discuss it. Emily tried to lean back in her chair. "Nick, are you setting up surveillance? This sounds like paranoia." "It seems like order," I answered calmly. "In my house, I don't humiliate or accuse anyone. I'm recording the facts." I put the third file on the table. Here is a statement to the bank about blocking the application Home Improvement, where the contractor is Lane Wellness Ventures. Processing is frozen until both owners are present in person. Any improvements are discussed with me. This is not a matter of dispute. Emily was silent, then said quietly, "I was wrong. I am not discussing morality now. I am setting boundaries. First, the old code is turned off tomorrow morning. Second, any visit to our home by third parties without my consent is unacceptable. Third, if this person shows up at our place again, I am filing a restraining order. Fourth, you decide what you do next." She rubbed her temples. "I didn't think it would go this far." "It went exactly as far as you allowed it to. Today, we put an end to the house break-ins." We sat in silence for a minute. Then she asked, "Can I have a day?" "Until Monday. Monday morning final conversation. In the evening decision. If we choose therapy, we'll draw up rules, sign them, set a schedule. If not signatures on the agreement, division of bills, things according to the list." "I understand," she said quietly. I gathered up the folders and put them in a drawer. I disabled the old code marked Archive in the app on the front door. I scheduled a meeting with Ellie on my phone for Monday morning. The night passed without conversation. In the morning, I left for the point before dawn. At 9:40, an SMS came from the smart home service, attempt to enter the code failure. Then, a bell at the gate. A minute later, the camera at the porch showed that same coach. He stood, looked around, pressed the bell again, and talked to someone on the phone. The door remained closed. At 9:46, he left. I saved the recording and sent it to Ellie. From her came, "Excellent. Fix it. No action until Monday." In the evening, Emily came exactly at 7. She sat down in the kitchen. "I'm not going to therapy," she said, "and I'll sign a peace agreement. I'll go stay with a friend for a while. I'll pick up the things on the list." "Okay," I replied. "We'll print the documents tomorrow at 6 o'clock, in the presence of Mrs. Caldwell," without emotion. She nodded. She went upstairs to pack her bag. I turned on the oven and put the dough to rise. Not because it was a holiday, because dinner is needed every day. Tanner came on shift at noon. I closed the place by 4. On the way home, I called Ellie. "No improvisations today," she said. "Table, documents, witnesses. If emotions start, a 5-minute pause, and we return to the text. After the signatures, you change the locks and codes immediately." Understood. At 5 to 6, Mrs. Caldwell knocked on the door. A file, a notary's seal, an attentive look. "I'm not your lawyer," she reminded him. "But as a notary, I'll certify the signatures and make sure everything goes smoothly." "Thank you. I said and set the table. 3 sets, pens, stickers. Emily arrived promptly at 6, her coat tucked into the crook of her elbow and a small suitcase at her feet. "Let's get started," she said. We sat down. I pushed the first envelope towards her. Separation agreement. The points are highlighted. Let's go through them in order. Mrs. Caldwell read key passages aloud. The residential building remains in the name of Nick Harper. Ownership is confirmed. The commercial asset of Harper Smoke is entirely Nick's. Emily's personal belongings, clothes, laptop, phone, car remain hers. General checking account close. Distribute the remainder according to the current balance on the day of signing. Keys, codes, accesses, hand them in today. The mutual obligations do not extend to new loans and subscriptions after this date. Confidentiality and the absence of public comments about the private lives of the parties. Emily asked only once, "Can you give me access to the family photo archive in the cloud? A copy. I'll give you a download link today," I said. "After that, I'll close access." She nodded. We signed each sheet. Mrs. Caldwell stamped it, printed out 2 certified copies, and gave us receipts. "Next is the transfer protocol," she said. "A list of things Emily will take during the week. Visiting hours are by arrangement, no later than 8 in the evening. Entry is by Emily alone. Third parties are prohibited." "It fits," Emily said. We made a list. Clothes, documents, a souvenir box, cosmetics, a couple of kitchen items, books. I added the item, Emily's car keychain, no exchange. She wrote down the address of her friend where she would take the things. "One last thing," Mrs. Caldwell said, producing a thin form. "Notice of restraining third-party entry. This is where you state that Nick, as the owner, forbids Mr. Jason Lane from entering the property or the house. It's not a warrant, but the police will take it into account. I'll keep a copy." I signed. Emily sat quietly. "I understand," she said. "I'll tell him not to come any closer." "The service will," Mrs. Caldwell replied. "Nick, send it through the sheriff on Monday. I'll help with the form." The signatures took half an hour. Emily put down her pen and asked quietly, "Can I collect some of the clothes today?" "Yes," I said. "I'll stay in the kitchen. No questions." She went upstairs. Mrs. Caldwell remained in the living room, leafing through the checklist. 20 minutes later, Emily came down with a suitcase and 2 boxes. "The keys and the door fob," she said, placing them on the table. "My codes don't work anymore. The old one is already turned off. I'm not transmitting the new one," I replied. She nodded. "Thanks for access to the photo," she added after a pause. "Send the link to my email." "I'll send it today." We walked her to the door. She said bye and walked off to the waiting lift. Mrs. Caldwell sighed. Calmly and to the point. That's how it should be. Now the technical part. We checked together, deleting old users from the lock app, resetting the guest code, changing the Wi-Fi password. I noted on my phone, "Monday Sheriff, notify Jason, bank close joint account." "I'm here if you need me," Mrs. Caldwell said and left. The night passed smoothly. I sent Emily a link to the photo archive, then blocked access. On Sunday, I packed up the rest of her boxes in one room. I made a to-do list for the week. Sell the spa, clear the roof, start laying the stove, design the second van for pizza. Monday morning bank. John met me at the counter. "Shall we close the joint checking account?" he asked. "Yes. The balance was divided according to today's balance, and the request is to disable the card marked additional." "We'll do it." It took 10 minutes to process. I transferred the auto payments to my new account and headed out the door. I immediately stopped by the sheriff's office. The officer on duty gave me a criminal trespass warning form. "Fill in the name, address, contact, indicate the person you are prohibiting from approaching," he said. "We will register and send a notification to this person's address. If he shows up at the site, call 911. The link to the warning is in the database." "Thank you," I said, leaving copies of the footage from the camera by the stairs and a printout from the castle's log. During the day, I posted an advert for a jacuzzi for sale. 2 photos, an honest description of the condition. The price was half the market price. Pickup. In the evening, a man with an accent called. I'm Raoul. We'll pick it up tomorrow. I have a truck and 2 guys. All I need is access to the roof and a crane sling for an hour. I'll give you access. I'll turn off the electricity and water before you arrive. On Tuesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, a white pickup truck and trailer pulled up. Raoul examined the roof, knocked on the body. It's in better condition than in the photo, he said. We'll take it off in 40 minutes. I turned off the power, shut off the water, removed the control panel. The guys carefully lifted the body, secured it with a strap, lowered it to the trailer. The hoses and fasteners were put in a box. Cash and receipt, Raoul said. Good luck. When the trailer passed, the roof was empty. I swept away the debris, removed the old decking, and carried stacks of fire bricks onto the deck. I called Mason the carpenter. I need a stove pan and a hood, I said. Can you come Thursday? I have the measurements. I will, he replied, and bring the door template so we can fit it right away. During the day, I made another call to the printing house where they burn signs and plaques. I need a wooden sign for the kitchen, I said. The text, Harper's for members only. The font is simple, no embellishments. The size is 60 by 20. You'll pick it up on Friday, the master replied. By evening, I rolled out a test brick oven dry, without mortar, to understand the geometry. I made a small fire, checked the draft. I did not look for any symbols in this. I needed warmth and a place where I could cook quietly. Ellie called closer to 9. Did the sheriff take the trespass? She asked. Yes, notification is sent. Excellent. And one more thing, I'm closing the file on the fact. If you need papers for divorce in court, everything is ready, but judging by the signed agreement, you won't need it. How are you? I'm taking care of the house and work, I said. The carpenter will arrive tomorrow. There will be a stove on the roof. That's a good plan, she said. This week, turn off unnecessary notifications in your smart home. Let the system remind you only of things that are important for safety, and try to go to bed earlier, at least a couple of nights in a row. We'll try. We said goodbye. I turned off the light on the terrace, checked my to-do list for tomorrow, and set the alarm for 4:45. Mason arrived Thursday morning. A pickup truck with ladders, toolboxes, a roll of minorite boards. First the foundation, he said, looking over the terrace. Cedar is flammable. We make a tray, insulation, a gap. The exhaust hood is under the ceiling with a spark arrestor. No surprises for the firefighters. I need a working fireplace, I replied. No decorative gimmicks. Let's do it right. We measured the area, secured the supporting frame, laid the minorite, and put a metal sheet on top. Mason checked the level, tapped the sheet. Then brick on fireproof mortar. Will your door be steel? I've already ordered it from the welder. They'll deliver it tomorrow by lunchtime. Excellent. We'll hang the umbrella today, the channel through the wall tomorrow. Get a spark arrestor from the stove supply store on Manor Road, and some thick gloves. By midday, the foundation was level. I stopped by to pick up a spark arrestor and thermocouples. I also picked up a simple pyrometer there. On the way, I called the city permit office. Private terrace, wood stove for personal use, I said. Does a separate permit need to be issued? Not for private areas, said Ramirez, the employee, but follow fire regulations, setbacks, spark arrestor, Class K fire extinguisher. If you're cooking for sale on the premises, you'll need an inspection. For mobile retail locations, your current permits and mobile retail requirements apply. Got it. I'll buy a fire extinguisher today. When I got back, I got a large fire extinguisher from the garage, secured it next to the stove, and hung the switch diagram on the wall. Mason twirled the spark arrestor in his hands. This will do. This is enough for Austin. In the evening, the owner of the printing house called. The sign is ready. Will you pick it up today? I'm on my way. The wooden board was simple. I brought it home and hung it in the kitchen next to the spice rack. It looked strict. Without pathos, I turned on the kettle and exhaled. I didn't need any speeches, just a thing in its place. After dinner, I started working on the dough. I calculated the hydration for humidity in advance, 62%. I mixed it, gave it autolyses, then salt and oil. I divided it into balls and put it away in the cold. Tanner sent me a message, ready to learn from pizza. When should I come? Friday, 4 p.m. Take your notebook, I replied. In the evening, I checked the smart home notifications. I left only the doors and smoke detectors on. I turned off the rest. The phone became quieter. I went to bed before 10, as Ellie asked. I fell asleep quickly. On Friday morning, a welder came with a door and a damper. They installed it and checked the operation. Mason installed the umbrella, extended the channel, and connected the spark arrestor. Heat it with a small fire, he said. Let the solution set in the heat. A couple of hours without fanaticism. I made a stash of small logs. The draft is even. The sensor on the wall is silent. At noon, Ava arrived, the owner of a small brewery in East Austin. We met at the fair. She left a business card. I heard you're moving toward pizza, she said. We have an empty window on Wednesdays. We can give you a space in front of the entrance. 40 or 50 pizzas, 2 hours. Want a test? I do, I replied. I need a 110-volt outlet for the refrigerator and space for a table. The rest is mine. We will. We have passed the inspection. Are your documents for mobile trading in order? Yes. Then next Wednesday at 6. I'll post it on our Instagram. You give an announcement too. Have you thought of a name? Karma Pie, I said. It will be remembered. No esotericism. It just sounds. We agreed on logistics. Parking space, garbage, ash disposal. Ava asked about the menu. The base is margarita, smoked brisket, vegetable, I listed. Servings are 12 inches. No mega toppings. The emphasis is on dough and temperature. It works, she nodded. Our people like it simple and high quality. After she left, Tanner came in. I gave him an apron and we went through the process. Stretch, thin sauce, cheese, oven, half turn, bake time. The temperature is 300 and 400 on the stone, I said, looking at the pyrometer. Don't chase after Neapolitan numbers. We need stability and repeatability. Got it, he replied. Can you make the sauce a little lighter in salt? Yes, we can. We'll reduce it by 5%. We made 4 pizzas. Tanner took a video for notes. I made notes on hydration and timing. Gave 2 pizzas to neighbors, saved 1 for dinner, and saved 1 for review. The crust was even, the edge was a little paler than it should have been. I wrote down, add a minute at the end, turning up the heat. Ben called in the evening. I heard you're going through a big change, he said carefully. Need a break? The guys and I are going to Lake Travis on Sunday just to hang out on the shore. Thank you. I have shopping and preparation for Wednesday on Sunday. I'll stop by for an hour if I have time. We'll be there from noon. And Nick, he paused, I won't give you advice. If you want to talk, just say so. He flew. Before going to bed, I wrote Emily a short message. I'll be home tomorrow at 6. You can pick up the second part of your things. Entry in person only. Time until 8. The reply was restrained. I'll be there at 7. Same list. That was the end of the correspondence. Saturday was spent on the van. Washed, checked the generator, updated the supply of gloves and boxes. Stopped by the printing house on South Congress to order a magnet with the Karma Pie logo for the side. The girl at the counter showed me the templates. We need clean font, white letters on a black background, I said. No pictures, and a small caption, by Harper Smoke. We'll do it by Tuesday. At home, I packed Emily's boxes and put them by the door. She arrived promptly at 7. No witnesses, no conversation. I helped her carry the heavy box of books to the car. She stopped at the threshold. Thank you for being polite, she said quietly. I appreciate you not making a scene. I need order, I replied. Take care of yourself. She nodded and drove away. I closed the door, checked the alarm, and went back to my to-do list. For tomorrow, I set sauce, cheese, dough, firewood another bundle, check fridge for Ava's pop-up. On Sunday, I went to the food warehouse. I got tomatoes for sauce, mozzarella, basil, flour. In the parking lot, I ran into the owner of another food truck, Omer. I heard about your new theme, he said. Advice, take a spare thermometer and an extra shovel to the pop-up. Sometimes they break at the most moment. Thank you, I will do so. On Wednesday, I got up at 4:45 and got straight to work on the dough. I put the balls in the gastronorm containers, checked the refrigerator temperature, packed the cheese and sauce in separate containers. On the loading list, I noted folding table, 2 shovels, pyrometer, backup thermometer, fire extinguisher, mobile wash basin, napkins, gloves, cash container. At 6:45, I went to the firewood yard and got another bundle of dry hickory. At 9, I was at the van, checked the lighting, attached the Karma Pie by Harper smoke magnet, pulled the fasteners. Tanner arrived at noon. I took the notebook, he said. Ready for the routine. Then here's the plan, I answered. I'll do the dough and bake, you'll lay out and serve. If there's a line, we'll split the area. I'll pull the base and bake, you'll do the sauce, cheese, toppings. Accepted. By 4, we were already at Ava's brewery. She led us to the area at the entrance, showed us a power outlet and a place for garbage. I posted it, she said. People have left comments. We'll start at 6 sharp. We set up the table, plugged in the fridge, checked the sink. I heated the stove to working temperature and let it sit for the stone to warm up. Ava brought a bucket of ice for drinks and a list of their varieties. We agreed on a rule. Only they sell alcohol, we only sell pizza. At 5:45, the first guests arrived, 2 in office clothes and a couple of students. I put a single sheet menu on the table. Margarita, smoked brisket, vegetable. The prices were simple, without small print. Why Karma Pie? Asked the man from the first couple. Because everything has consequences, I said. In food too, honest products, honest prices, understandable taste. He nodded and picked up a smoked brisket. I made the first pizza myself to test the timing. A crust, a thin layer of sauce, cheese, strips of brisket, some onions. The pyrometer showed the right level. After 4 minutes, the rim was up. I turned the paddle and removed it. Tanner sliced it, handed over the box. The man tried a slice right at the counter and gave me a thumbs up. At 6:15, a line formed. Tanner quickly got the hang of it. He laid out the sauce in an even circle, watched the cheese, carefully laid out the basil. I held the stove, unrolled it, watched the stone. Ava came over and smiled. Smoothly, without fuss. That's how it should be. I want 2 margaritas for the bar. They will be ready in 7 minutes. At 6:40, a woman in a business suit approached and introduced herself as Laura, the office events manager. I'm looking for catering for Friday next week, she said. 25 people. Can you do it? Yes, I answered. In the evening after 5. We'll bring a stove and a table. I'll send you the invoices in advance, 30% per payment. Write me the address. I'll send you an offer. I'm waiting for a letter. The line moved smoothly. At 7, a tall man wearing a Round Rock Express baseball cap arrived and introduced himself as an inspector for the city health department. I see you have a valid mobile vending permit, he said, holding up a badge. Routine check. Is the sink working? What's the hot water temperature? I turned on the faucet, showed him the thermometer, the fire extinguisher, the gloves, the food containers in the refrigerator, and the trays for clean and dirty surfaces. He checked the temperature log. Everything is in order, said the inspector. Make sure that the greens are stored so that they are not exposed to direct sunlight. It will be under the umbrella, I answered and moved the container. He left, and we continued working. At 7:20, the cheese ran out. I opened the reserve container. By 8, We had baked 51 pizzas. There was enough dough for 4, but the line ended, and we closed the sold-out sign. Ava came up with a printout. "Sales are good," she said. "Let's stick with Wednesdays. I can add another Saturday slot next week." "Wednesdays we take them. I'll check the van schedule on Saturdays," I answered. Tanner and I exchanged glances. He was tired but happy. "There were 3 mistakes," he said. "Once the cheese went to the edge, once the bottom was burnt, one pizza was pale." "I wrote it down," I replied. "We'll fix it at the next pop-up." We loaded the equipment, calculated the revenue, signed the shift closing sheet with Ava. I transferred her a percentage for the site. She marked the schedule for the following week. "And one more thing," she said. "Today a blogger came by. He made a story. I don't know what he wrote there, but people at the bar were discussing brisket on a crust. Get ready for demand." "Thanks for the heads up," I said. At home, I unloaded the fridge, put away the dough that hadn't gone away, checked the oven on the patio, and let it cool. Opened my laptop, wrote a short report. 51 pizzas, 3 errors, cheese need 15% more reserve, greens keep in shade, menu leave. Sent to Tanner and Ava. Sent Laura a commercial proposal for Friday. The next day, I received a response from Laura. "I confirm. The address is attached. The advance payment has been sent." I checked the account. The money had arrived. I scheduled the purchase. On Friday morning, I went into the coffee shop around the corner. Barista Maya looked at me. "I saw you at Ava's," she said. "The pizza was spot on. Give me the flyer. I'll put it by the cash register." "Thank you. The flyers will be here by Tuesday." I ordered a black coffee and sat down for a minute by the window. 2 students were talking nearby. "Yesterday's pizza was okay," one said. "Not overloaded." "Yes, and the price is normal," answered the other, "without the art markup." I didn't say anything. I just noted that we met expectations. A simple menu, no unnecessary words. In the afternoon, Carpenter Mason called. "Finished the umbrella and channel, everything holds. If you want to expand the tabletop on the side, tell me in advance." "I will. Thank you for your work." In the evening, I divided the proceeds. Part for purchases, part for materials for the stove, part for reserves. Separately noted Tanner's salary and Ave's percentage. Checked applications. A request came in to participate in a Sunday street market in 3 weeks. I replied that I could, but only with a simple menu. Ben called on Saturday morning. "I saw your pizza on my friend's feed," he said. "I'm happy for you. If you want, I can introduce you to the manager of a business center. They sometimes hire food trucks on Fridays." "Give me contact," I replied. Monday morning, I got a letter from the sheriff's office. "No entry warning delivered to addressee." I saved the PDF, put it in the legal folder. No emotion, just closed the item on the list. A new email lit up on my phone from Laura, the office center manager, confirming Friday, 6:30 p.m., second-level patio. Electricity will be available, parking as per list. Pass issued to Nicholas Harper +1. I sent her the power spec, equipment list, and a quick layout plan. Approved came back. I stopped at the packaging warehouse and picked up more boxes and gloves. I also bought an extra knife and a simple accordion lamp to light the table. I picked up a second, smaller one from the fire extinguisher store so that I could keep it in the van separately from the big one. In the afternoon, I met with an accountant, Priya Shah, CPA. Her office was in a small business center on South Lamar. On the wall were licenses and a calendar of tax deadlines. "I work alone," I said as we sat down at the table. "A barbecue food truck and a new pizza pop-up. We need to keep things organized, taxes, an assistant's salary, dividing up bills after a divorce." "First, the structure," Priya answered. "You have Harper Smoke as an LLC." "Yes." "Great. Karma Pie can be kept separate within the same LLC as a separate business, but with a separate bank account. No mixing of personal and business expenses. Tanner's salary through a payroll service. The contract is hourly, Tax forms at the end of the year. It will do. A separate point is sales on platforms. Consider the percentage to the platform as sales cost, not as other expenses. This affects the margin and clarity of finances. I'll write it down. And one more thing, she said. After the divorce agreement, I advise you to take stock of your subscriptions and auto payments. Often, something hangs on old cards and is written off over the years. Already started. We signed a contract for accounting support. Priya gave us a checklist with bold words, "Do not use your personal card for purchases," and "Keep electronic receipts." Simple text, no complicated words, just what we needed. On Tuesday, I went to the flour supplier. The warehouse was cool and smelled of grain. The manager, a short guy named Jose, recognized me from my order. "Are you taking Zerzen again?" he asked. "Yes, and I'll try a higher egg white bag for the test on Saturday. I need stability along the edge." "Got it. Take a 5-kilo sample. You'll pay if it works." I thanked her and added containers with tight lids to the order. For Laura's corporate party, I wanted to remove all unnecessary things. No open buckets, no improvisations. On Thursday evening, Tanner and I went over Friday's schedule. "The meeting is in my garage at 4 p.m., I said. "Let's check the list. Dough 70, sauce 6 liters, cheese 7 kilograms, greens cooling, shovels 2, pyrometer 1, backup thermometer 1, fire extinguishers 2, lamp 1, sink 1. I'll bake and bake, you'll lay out and serve. Payment according to the bill, tips we split in half." "Accepted," he replied. Friday started with dough prep. Lots marked in the fridge, fermentation times on stickers. Ice and water for the sink at noon. Tanner was there by 4. We loaded up and headed to Laura's. The office center was clean, with a large patio on the second level. Security checked our documents and gave us 2 passes. The site manager, a man in his 50s named Dan, led us to an outlet and showed us where to dispose of boxes. "We don't allow smoking here," he said, nodding at the fire extinguishers. "The only fire is in your stove. If the alarm goes off, everyone evacuates. We don't need that." "I understand," I replied. "There's no smoke coming out. The umbrella and spark arrestor are doing the job." We set up the table, connected the sink, checked the light. At 6:30, Laura and her colleagues arrived. "We play the music quietly," she said. "People want to talk, not shout." Fine. The first orders came in right away. The office people are careful. Someone asked about the sauce composition, someone about allergenic things. I hung up a card, "No nuts or sesame," so as not to repeat the same thing. A man in glasses approached us. "Do you really smoke your own brisket? Not a restaurant delivery?" "Mine," I said. "I smoke it on hickory in the wagon. I cut it this morning." Then 1 smoked brisket and 1 margarita for testing. He came back 10 minutes later and said, "All fair," and gave me a thumbs up. I just nodded. At 7, a middle-aged woman approached the counter. Jacket, HR badge. "We sometimes take food for late meetings," she said. "If the pizza is repetitive, we can order it every 2 weeks. We need consistency." "For repeatability, I have checklists and temperature charts," I replied. "The quality will be the same." "Then let's discuss it on Monday," she said, and left a business card. By 8, we had closed the last boxes. Laura came over. "Everything is clear. Cleaning is in place, no complaints. Next time we can add 1 item, for example, pepperoni. But if you don't want, we'll leave the menu short. People appreciated that there is nothing superfluous." "Let's keep it short," I said. "Your logistics are convenient. Thank you for the order." She wired the rest of the payment and a tip. I noted down: patio convenient area, outlet stable, parking close. Tanner cleared the table and sink. I closed the stove. Dan stopped us on the way out. "How are you with music licenses?" he asked casually. "We don't turn it on or use background recordings," I replied. "Just work." "Then there are no questions. I'm just clarifying." We loaded up and drove off. In the car, Tanner said. People from the office are calmer than those at the brewery. Less talk, more specifics. Different audiences, I replied. That's why the processes are different. On Saturday morning, I took a break from the stove and went to the sports shop on Brody Lane. I bought walking shoes, a simple wrist tracker, and 2 resistance bands. I didn't need a trainer. I needed 20 minutes a day away from my phone. The guy at the checkout said, "Come back in a month if the size doesn't fit." I nodded. At home, I set my alarm to walk at 7 o'clock, right after dinner. Nothing heroic. 15 to 20 minutes around the block. Mrs. Caldwell met me at the corner. "I see you're changing your routine," she said. "A little. The work remains, but the body needs to be carried. This is the right view. And one more thing. If you are invited to a neighborhood chat to discuss gossip, do not go. Choose where to spend your attention." He flew. On Sunday morning, I stopped at the farmer's market. I picked up some tomatoes, basil, a bunch of rosemary. At the honey stand, the guy asked, "Are you the one who made pizza at Avis?" "Yes." "Delicious." We argued about the name in our house. Karma pie is strong. No joke. I got home by midday, made supplies for Wednesday, checked the shopping list, and put aside cash for Tanner's paycheck. In the kitchen, under the wooden sign, "Harper's for Insiders Only," I hung the second checklist, home. Cleaning the filter, checking the alarm, organizing the pantry. No slogans. Just what I need to live in peace. In the evening, a short message came from Emily. I took everything. "You have the keys. Good luck." I replied, "Accepted." No further details were required. The week ended without surprises. I went to bed at 10 and for the first time in a long time felt that everything was in its place. Home, work, routine, money. On Monday morning, I drove to the East Side Commissary and Co-op, a communal kitchen. It's an old warehouse, divided into stainless steel zones. A manager named Carla showed me around. Sinks, walk-in coolers, a dry goods area, a sanitation log on a clipboard. "Do you need a slot 3 mornings a week?" she asked. 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock free Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Refrigerator shelf number 7, dry storage rack D2. Note production and temperatures here. She tapped the log. "Waste and oil only in barrels in the backyard, not in the sink." "Okay," I said, "a month's contract." We sign. Key card deposit $100. Outside the slot by agreement. And yes, the inspector can come in at any time. You know that. I know. We signed the papers, and I put the flower boxes and dough containers on the shelf. On the shelf next to them were jars of sauce from the kitchen neighbors, each with its own label. A man in his 50s was moving trays of tamales. "Miguel," he introduced himself. "I work nights. If you need space in the fridge, let me know. We'll agree so there's no pushing." "Thank you. I'm Nick. Pizza. Pizza is good. People need simple and honest. Good luck." A girl in a wide apron raised her head from the next line. "Denise, gluten-free baking," she said. "If you need 9x9 boxes, I've got some on hand." "Thank you. I can exchange them for gloves and napkins." "It'll do." I noted on my phone, "Commissioner check log, key card, neighbor contacts." Stopped by Louis' shop this afternoon. He fixes generators for food trucks on South Congress. The last couple of times my generator was wheezing on startup. "Let's run a test," Louis said. "Probably the filter and spark plug. Did you change the oil on time?" "According to the schedule, but I haven't looked for a long time." We removed the casing, he replaced the filter, checked the voltage under load, tightened the terminals. "Stability is back," he said when the engine reached a smooth speed. "Here's the receipt and a list for the next service. And don't use cheap oil. Save today, lose tomorrow on repairs." Received. At the Austin Central Library, I grabbed a table by the window and met Sam Pack, a freelance website designer recommended by Ava. "We need a simple page," I said. "A menu, a pop-up schedule, A pre-order form for corporate events. No unnecessary effects. We'll do it in 2 weeks, he replied. Do you have domains? I'll buy Karmapiatex. Logo just text. Photos I can give from the bar and from the corporate party. It will do. I will connect the application form to the mail and make a page, frequently asked questions, so as not to answer the same thing dozens of times. Cancellation policy, we will clearly indicate it so as not to argue. Write strictly. Prepayment is non-refundable 24 hours before the event. It's fair. I wrote it down. We discussed fonts, colors, contact card. He sent me a list of content and left. I stayed in the library, walked through the shelves with cookbooks, and took a notebook of recipes for notes. Not recipes from books, my parameters: flour, water, fermentation time, stone temperature. On Tuesday morning, Tanner and I took delivery from Jose. A new bag of flour with higher protein gave the dough a different grip. I mixed a test batch in the commissary, noting the hydration and timing. Denise, on the next line, nodded toward my containers. If you need a small 10-quart mixer, it's free after 8. I finish earlier. Thank you, I'm doing it manually for now. After lunch, the city's night market coordinator, Sarah Green, called. I saw your pop-up at the brewery, she said. There's a window next Saturday, 5-9 p.m., Red River location. Standard requirements: insurance, visible fire extinguisher, sink, no glass. You taking it? I'll take it, I replied. The menu is short, no electricity is required, the oven is autonomous. Then I'll send you the contract and the site plan. Access is only until 16 o'clock, after that closed entry. Accepted. Ava's pop-up was on Wednesday morning. We made 63 pizzas without a hitch. At the end, a woman came up with a City of Austin Small Business Program card. We have a free seminar next Wednesday, she said. Purchases for the city, grants for equipment. You might find that useful. Thank you. I'll come. On Thursday, I saw a therapist, not out of fashion, but to sort out my thoughts. Ben gave me the contact. The office is in an office building on Mopac, with simple chairs and a window overlooking the Oaks. What do you come with? Dr. Hayes asked. Congratulations on your new life, with lots of work and few words, I said. I want my head to be as tidy as the van. Let's set boundaries. Let's create short rituals. Let's agree that you don't judge yourself through other people's actions. And let's leave space for rest. That will suit me. We agreed on 4 meetings without long conversations about the past. Homework, a short morning entry, plans for the day, and one thing that is not about work. On Friday morning, the guys from the printing shop arrived with magnets for the side of the van and simple flyers. The flyer had a schedule: Wednesday Avo Brewing, Saturday night market, Friday corporate parties by request. Maya from the coffee shop smiled when I left a pack for the counter. People have been asking where to find you, she said. It'll save us all time. Late in the afternoon, I stopped by the address where a small order of 20 pizzas was due for a neighborhood council meeting on Monday. The chairman, Jack Collins, met me at the community center. No loud music, he said. The kids are playing in the hall next door, and we don't want the smell of smoke inside. The stove is outside, the smoke goes up, I replied. No need for electricity. We work according to checklists. We'll clean up after ourselves. Then come at 18 o'clock. We will pay by card on the spot. The Red River Saturday night market started early. There were stages with music, craft booths, a taco guy, and an ice cream stand near us. Security checked for a fire extinguisher, a sink, and permits. Sarah showed where to put boxes and where not to stand. We're not blocking the fire lane, she repeated, and we're working until 9:50. We're leaving at 10. The line was dense but calm. People took 1 pizza for 2 and went to the stage. Several times they asked about spicy. I promised to introduce optional chili flakes. At 9:40, we closed the last box. Sarah came up. Everything is clean. If you want, I'll give you a permanent slot once a month. You don't make noise, You don't come late, and you don't leave trash. You need to keep people like that. I'll take it. Write the dates. Returning, I turned on the pedometer on the bracelet 10,000 steps in a day without walking. At home, I put the containers in the sink, turned on the dishwasher, wiped the countertops. I left a note in my phone. Chili optional, cheese plus 10%, dough Josea's batch with high protein stable. Sunday morning, I went to see my parents in San Marcos. We rarely see each other. Mom put chicken and salad on the table. Dad asked about the van. You look tired but collected, he said, pouring tea. Don't squeeze yourself with a schedule so tight that there's no room for living. I've left 2 evenings a week unemployed, I replied. One for a walk, the other for people. That's enough for now. That's a lot, Mom said. Don't forget that a home isn't just a kitchen. We sat for 2 hours without difficult topics. On the way back, I stopped at Lady Bird Lake, walked along the embankment, and returned to the car. My head was quiet. Monday promised a new week in which the steps are clear. Monday started with a neighborhood council order. The community center on 12th and Waller, carpetless, folding tables, club schedules on the wall. Dan from the administration met me at the door. You don't need electricity? He asked. No, the stove is autonomous. We only need a place by the exit and access to the wash basin in the yard. Then stand here. Children are running along the corridor. Keep your shovels inside the zone. At 6 o'clock, the residents arrived. Parents, pensioners, a couple of young teachers. The order was 20 pizzas. Tanner was laying out the sauce and cheese. I was holding the oven. The council chairman, Jack Collins, came over to check on the first batch. It's important to us that it smells outside, not in the hall, he said. The smoke goes into the umbrella, I answered and pointed to the hood. Half an hour later, the line had melted away. A teacher from a nearby school took 2 pieces and said, "Thank you for coming without unnecessary music. We appreciate the peace." "I understand," I replied. "The most important things for us are food and order." By 8, we had cleared the area. Jack paid with his card and added, "If you want, come to our cleanup day. The beds near the center are overgrown." "I'll sign up," I said. "I'll bring thermoses of lemonade while I'm at it." On Tuesday, I met Sam Pack at the library. He brought a draft of the website. Main page, menu, schedule, application form, he listed, showing the laptop. Fact short, prepayment for a day is not refundable. Corporate events from 20 portions, no loud music, a place for recycling boxes is a mandatory requirement. "It's fine," I said. "Add a no nuts or sesame block, and a simple contact form without unnecessary fields." "I will. I will put photos from your pop-up at Ava's and from the corporate party. I will connect the domain by the end of the week." I gave him a few photos and the logo. I wrote down the dates myself and left. I stayed for 20 minutes. I looked at the city events schedule for the month ahead and noted a couple of options without a stage. On Wednesday morning, I went to the Small Business Program seminar in the Municipal Center. A small hall, about 30 people. The speaker talked about grants for equipment and working with city contracts. After the speech, a consultant named Alina approached me. "You can apply for a mini grant for a mixer and a sink," she said. "The amount is small, but non-refundable. The main thing is not to mix personal and business purchases and keep scanned receipts." "I already have that set up," I replied. "I'll submit a request for a mixer." And one more thing. The city sometimes buys food for the employees' training. They like suppliers without loud music and with clear deadlines. "I'll add you to the mailing list." I thanked him and took the booklet with the application checklist. It had simple items: taxpayer identification number in, extract from the registry, proof of insurance, a couple of invoices for equipment. After the seminar, I stopped by Mason's to pick up a metal shelf for the terrace. He brought out the assembled module. "The shelf will hold sacks of flour and containers," he said. "The fasteners are here. The level is set." "Thank you. Send the invoice by email." At home, I secured the shelf and reassembled the kitchen corner. In the evening, I received a mail from Laura from the office. Colleagues are asking to repeat in 2 weeks. I confirmed and suggested a fixed menu of 3 items. Laura agreed and asked to add a vegetarian option with mushrooms. I wrote it down. On Thursday at the commissariat, Denise waved from behind the counter. I left you some room in the fridge. My batch is gone. How's the dough? With high-protein flour, the crust holds its shape better, I replied. I'll check it out at the market on Saturday. Good luck. And don't forget about the temperature logged. Inspectors love numbers. I marked the parties, put the balls in containers, and went to Ava's site. The evening passed without surprises. 61 pizzas, 2 returns due to waiting people were in a hurry. I returned the money right away. Ava praised me for the clean area and said, on Saturday, the office guys and their families are coming to see me. If you have time, drop by after the market for 40 minutes. A couple of margaritas, and that's it. I'll see about the time. I don't want to break the schedule. On Friday morning, a blogger from a local foodie Telegram called and introduced himself as Andrew. I'm ready to do a review, he said. There is a barter plus format when I get a commission from orders using a promo code. No, I replied. There will be no commission. I can give him a free pizza to taste. Reviews are factual, without hints. Then let's just do an honest review, he said. I like that format. In the evening, I went for a quick walk around the block. Mrs. Caldwell caught up with me at the crossroads. In the neighbors' chat, they asked if you would share your experience with a smart home, she said. Not about your story, about the settings. Do you see yourself as a short lecture? 15 minutes, yes. Beyond that, no, I replied. I don't want to turn the house into a showcase. That's enough. I'll tell them. The Saturday night market was packed again. The music on the stage next door was louder than last time, but our area was quiet. A young guy asked, "Is there anything spicier? I can add chili flakes after baking," I replied. I don't keep hot sauce on the menu. Then add some. And smoked brisket, please. We closed at 9:50. Sarah from the organizing committee came over with a sheet of paper with the schedule. We can book you in for the first Saturday of every month, she said. Shall I put you on the schedule? Go ahead. On my way back, I realized I hadn't checked my phone for personal messages all evening. Notifications were only for security and orders. The rest was off to the side. On Sunday, I went to a cleanup at the community center. Jack gave me gloves and a hoe. Weed the left bed, put the trash in bags, he said. You can get water from the tap near the gym. We worked for 2 hours. At the end, a woman with a girl came up. She turned out to be the school librarian. We're starting an after-school program, she said. The kids will stay for an hour and need sugar-free, nut-free food. If you could bring 15 little pizzas once a month, that would be great. I can, I answered. I'll put together a small menu without any spicy additives. I'll bill you at cost price plus labor. We are grateful even for just at cost. Our budget is small. Agreed. At home, I wrote this item down in my calendar and set a reminder to buy. Then I sat down with a notepad and checked the plan for the week. The site is the final, the corporate party at Laura's is confirmed, Ava is Wednesday, the night market is the first Saturday of the month, the school program is every 4 weeks. At the bottom of the page, I wrote one sentence for myself. Don't take third sites until September. Being greedy for more than you can handle is a shortcut to problems. In the evening, Alina from the city program called. The mini grant requires 3 commercial invoices for the mixer, she said, and a short note explaining why it improves worker safety. I'll send it by Wednesday, I replied. I'll point out that hand kneading for more than 80 portions puts strain on the wrists and back, and the mixer relieves the strain and stabilizes the dough. That's exactly how you write it. See you at the next seminar. Late Sunday evening, Sam sent a message. The site is up and running. The form is working. Applications are coming to your email. Check it out. A minute later, a letter arrived. Request for a corporate event 30 servings, Friday, private home, Circle She. I responded with a standard offer and deadline. The request included a note. Please, no loud conversations at the gate. I chuckled. We don't have any conversations at the gate anyway. On Saturday morning, I stopped at the Lady Bird Lake Farmers Market. I needed basil, tomatoes, and a couple balls of fresh mozzarella to test bake at home. The market was crowded, with street musicians playing and kids milling around the lemonade stand. I grabbed 2 bunches of basil and was heading out when I saw Emily, walking quickly, wearing sunglasses and carrying a bouquet of chrysanthemums. We stopped 2 steps away. No scenes, no, how could you, no, let's talk. Just adults in a Saturday crowd. Hello, she said first. Hello. Thank you for access to the photo. I downloaded it, she added. I'll handle the rest myself. Fine. The pause was short. I asked the most practical question. Mail came in your name. Do you want to arrange for it to be sent? I've already done it. If anything falls into our box, write to me. I'll come by during the day. She nodded slightly. And, sorry about the chaos. I don't mean the papers, but everything else. Accepted, I replied. We've already signed everything. Take care of yourself. She nodded, and we parted ways. No lingering glances or attempts to bring back the past. I put the basil in my bag and walked to the car. On the way, a text came from Ellie. Official, file closed. Trespass warning delivered. Lane's studio sent out a code of conduct to clients. A couple of his contracts fell through. You're in the clear. I called her. Thank you, I said. I have nothing more to add. And don't bother, Ellie replied. You have other things on your mind right now. Business, home, health. If anything legal comes up, call me right away, but I'm not expecting it. Accepted. She hung up without further ado. That was exactly what was needed. That afternoon, an email arrived from Ava. They suggested a collaboration. After evening bike classes at one studio, make pizza on the porch. Are you interested? The address is South Lamar. The name of the studio is familiar. I replied, thanks, but no thanks. I prefer spaces without personal stories. Ava understood right away. Okay, no problem. Wednesday as usual. On Sunday morning, I prepared a short presentation for the neighbors after Mrs. Caldwell asked if I was ready to go over the basics of a smart home. 15 minutes, 3 topics, event log, guest codes, backups. That evening, we gathered in the Hoa room. 10 people, a table of water, a weak but functional projector. Don't turn your home into a security post, I said at the end. Doors, smoke detectors, and archive copies are enough. If something goes wrong, record it calmly and act through procedures, not through shouting. There were few questions. Someone asked about notifications on the phone, someone about batteries in the sensors. After the meeting, my neighbor Tom came up to me. I've heard different things, he began cautiously. Thank you for speaking to the point without gossip. It's easier for me, I replied, and it saves everyone time. On Monday at the commissariat, I mixed the dough with new flour. The batch with the increased protein held its shape better. Denise showed her mixer. I applied for a city mini grant and received half of the amount. You will get it too, if you fill out the checks correctly. I've completed it, I said. I'll send the application tomorrow. Around lunchtime, an email arrived from Sarah Green at the night market. First Saturday of the month confirmed. Bonus, space closer to the entrance. You don't get the crowd going, that's a plus. I noted the date and wrote to Tanner. Have a schedule ready for the month. Shifts Wednesdays and first Saturdays. Fridays on request. In the evening therapist, Dr. Hayes kept the pace without pomp. How's the week been? She asked. Exactly. Met Emily at the market. Short conversation. No attempts to sort out the past. Convenient. What about home control? Left the doors in smoke. Cameras only on the stairs and at the entrance, archive in the cloud. Notifications silent. phone in the pocket, not in the hand. Okay, she said. Next assignment. 2 evenings a week, no work talk. On one of them, do something for yourself outside the kitchen. A walk, a movie, a book, it doesn't matter. Just not about food. I will do it. On Tuesday, Sam sent the final report on the site and access to the admin panel. The application form worked, letters were sent to the mail. I added a section, school programs, wrote out the conditions. No nuts, no spicy additives, minimum order 15. An hour later, the first application fell from the school librarian, the one that was suitable for the cleanup day. We quickly agreed on a date. Ava had a steady window on Wednesday. 65 pizzas, no returns. One man in a shirt stopped at the table, taking his time. I was here 2 weeks ago, he said. The side was lighter then. It's better now. I added a minute at higher heat at the end, I replied, and changed the flour. Keep up the good work, he said, and walked off to the bar. After closing, Ava suggested, I can give you half an hour on the mic on Saturday. A little Q&A about the dough. People like practice. Without a microphone, I answered. If anyone is interested, come to the table. I'll show you on the spot. I'm not a lecturer. Fair. On Thursday, I took care of the house. I took out old boxes from the room where Emily's things were, moved the shelves, washed the window. In the evening, I wrote to Ben. Saturday after the market free. Shall we go to your yard, sit for an hour? He replied, We'll wait. No talk about work, I promise. On Friday, I received a letter from the city office. Mini grant application accepted for review. They asked me to send an invoice from the mixer supplier and proof of insurance. I collected the files and attached them. I took a short certificate of LLC status from Priya. She did it in half an hour. On Saturday, the night market went off without a hitch. New people asked a couple of times, why is the menu so simple? I answered in the standard way, so that the taste is consistent. Before closing, a guy of about 20 came up. My father owned a small pizzeria. He used to say that it was better to do 3 things right than 10 things poorly. I saw that in you. Thank you, I said. That's the plan. After the market, I stopped by Ben's. The lights were on in the yard. There was lemonade and corn on the table. We talked about school and insurance. The kids were riding scooters. No one asked about the past. At 9, I went home. A quiet week was ahead. On Sunday, I did what Dr. Hayes ordered, an evening off from work. I went to the bookstore on South Lamar, picked up a slim book about artisan bakeries and a paperback notebook. I drank tea in the store's cafe, jotted down a few notes about my schedule that didn't involve food. Walking, calling my parents, watching a movie a month. Simple things that tend to get lost. On the way home, the phone rang, a new request via the website. Private courtyard, quiet family evening, 18 servings, no music please. I answered briefly, yes, the conditions are standard, prepayment for 24 hours. The customer wrote, are you that same Nick from Harper Smoke? We ordered brisket from you 3 years ago. Glad you make pizza. I smiled, but didn't write to anyone about it. Subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think, click to the next one.